Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. The Not Too Shabby shop just released Easy Wonder die number 3 along with an add-on set and a stamp set. Their Easy Wonder dies have been super popular and they always sell out very quickly. So if you are interested, I do have links in the description box below. And if you are shopping, make sure to use my code Kristie10 to save 10% off your order. The Easy Wonder dies are designed to work with a 6x6 pattern paper. You run it through your machine with a sheet of paper and you end up with lots of different die cut pieces and basically zero waste. It's a great way to finish off your paper pad, or you can just use parts of the die with scrap pieces. There's also an add-on set that works with the Easy Wonder die number 3, but you could also use this set individually. There are several different sizes of stitched rectangles. There's a small envelope, the outline of an airplane, plus 2 sentiments, Hi and Happy Mail. And for the sentiment Happy Mail, there is a shadow outline. There's also a fun stamp set that works perfectly with Easy Wonder die number 3. It's called Special Delivery. It includes lots of different images plus a couple of sentiments, and some of those sentiments fit perfectly inside the large banner that's included on Easy Wonder die number 3. For my cards, I'll be using a new paper collection and ephemera pack from Not Too Shabby. It's called Down the Shore. I love the beach ocean theme of this collection. This is a 6x6 paper pack. There are 12 designs. They're double-sided papers. You'll get a total of 24 sheets. I'll go through them quickly so you can get an idea of what's included. This first design is one of my favorites with all the different shells. And then the back side has more of a cloud image. We have some blue, almost looks like glitter paper, but there's no glitter. This is all smooth. We have some seagulls, an ocean scene. This one looks like ocean waves. Next is this lovely watercolor design. On the back side is a basket weave. Then we have a starfish. The back side we have a similar to the blue glitter, except this one is a brown glitter. Would work perfectly as sand. We have some stripes, and then finally a little scene with palm trees and a beach. So there's a look at the 12 different designs, and here's the coordinating ephemera pack. I love using ephemera, makes it super easy to assemble lots of beautiful cards. I didn't count how many pieces are included, but there are several dozen. We have piles of shells, beach umbrella with chairs, towels, coconuts, palm trees. There are surfboards, sandals, shells, seagulls. So many fun images, and the colors coordinate perfectly with the Down the Shore pattern paper. It's the perfect time to get started on some fun summer cards with an ocean or beach theme. If you're interested in the paper and ephemera, I do have links in the description box below. For my cards, I selected 6 of the pattern papers, and I'll cut these out using Easy Wonder die number 3. The die works great with either a manual or an electric die cut machine. You just have to make sure the opening is wide enough for the die to fit through. I used an electric machine. I have Sizzix Big Shot Switch Plus machine, and it cut beautifully. So this is what's left over after using a 6x6 paper and the Easy Wonder die number 3. I put all of the die cut pieces in the large Spellbinders craft stack tray. That way I didn't lose all the pieces. It's fun that the die cuts out this 5-piece postage grid. You can keep it together or you can separate it for the individual postage stamp look. Then the smaller rectangles fit right inside that stitched rectangle of the postage grid. So if you have a busier background like this shell piece, you could put a tone-on-tone rectangle or square on the inside, or you could just keep it as is, add a sentiment, stamp a few of the postage images, and your card is finished. I have 5 different card designs to share using all these different pieces along with the add-on set and stamp set. For card design number 1, for the postage grid, I'm using the brown glitter looking pattern paper piece, and I'm adding the wave smaller rectangle pieces inside all those openings. I'll put barely art glue on the back, adhere those in place. Now the die does cut out 2 more of the smallest size rectangles, but I only need 5 for this card. When using any of the Easy Wonder dies and pattern paper, you want to make sure you're cutting it out in the direction you want the majority of the die cut pieces. It's always a bonus when you have pattern paper that isn't direction specific. Next, I'll layer the postage die cut piece on some brown cardstock. And the brown cardstock piece is 5 inches by 3 3/4 of an inch. I will place a large acrylic block on top for some added weight. That way it glues down nice and flat. Now I'll stamp a few of the images and sentiments onto this piece. I'm using a mini MISTI, that way I can get a nice solid impression. I'll start by adding the 25 cent in the upper right hand corner. The ink I'm using is scrapbook.com's dark chocolate color. This is one of my favorite brown colors. And I will ink up this stamp a few times. Now I'll clean off the stamp, and I'm using a stamp chamois from scrapbook.com. I'll remove the 25 cent stamp. Now I'll add the wavy line image. I think this is the stamp cancel. I'll put it in the upper right hand corner, and it'll be on top of that top middle rectangle and the upper right hand rectangle. I'll ink up the image a few times to get a nice solid impression, although the images and the sentiments on the stamp set don't have solid lines. So even if you don't stamp them perfectly, no one will know because it's that very vintagey look. I'll clean off the stamp, add another image, and I'm stamping it on the very left side of the wavy image. This dark chocolate brown ink color will lighten just a tiny bit once it dries completely. Then one final stamp, I'm adding the sentiment Happy Mail. I'll put it in the upper right hand corner of the lower left hand corner rectangle. This may actually be a square. I didn't pull out my ruler and measure it. If not, it's very close to being a square. I'll ink the sentiment several times to get a nice solid impression. Clean off the stamp with my stamp chamois. So there are all the stamped images and sentiments for the postage grid. Next, I'll layer this piece on some blue cardstock. And the cardstock piece is 5 3/8 of an inch by 4 1/8 of an inch. I'll add more adhesive on the back, put my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, 5.5 inches by 4 1/4 inches. Now I'll add 2 of the ephemera pieces. In the lower right hand corner, I'm putting the palm tree, and in the upper left hand corner, I'm adding a seagull. And I will pop them both up using foam dimension. I grabbed the small foam squares from scrapbook.com. This is their 1mm thickness. If you like more dimension, their foam is also available in 2mm and 3mm thicknesses. I'll make sure to get good coverage, remove the release paper, then add the tree and the seagull. And I love that Not Too Shabby's ephemera is a nice heavyweight cardstock. For embellishments, I'm adding some pebble enamel dots, and these are from Concord & Ninth. This light gray color. I'll put 2 in the lower left-hand corner and 1 on the right side of the seagull. They do have adhesive on the back, but I like to add a little extra glue just to make sure they don't pop off later. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. I did change up the ephemera since there's only 1 each of the different ephemera pieces. Now moving on to card design number 2. I have all of my card elements in the small craft stack tray from Spellbinders. For this card, I have the Wave postage grid piece, but I'll be cutting it down so I have the individual stamps. I grab my tonic guillotine trimmer, and very carefully I'll try to cut right between those 2 rows. And I felt that the one side was still just a little bit too long, so I'll trim off a tiny bit more. Now I'll cut the final 2 pieces apart. So now I have 5 individual postage stamps. I'll be adding 3 of them on my card. For the background of my card, I have some white cardstock that has a linen texture finish. I know it's hard to see on the video. I selected the largest rectangle, the medium, and also one of the smaller rectangle postage stamps. The white cardstock piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and I'll layer it on some blue cardstock. The color is Candy Buttons by Basil. After adding the white cardstock piece, I'll put adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base. Now I'll attach the 3 pattern paper postage die cut pieces, starting with the largest one in the upper right hand corner. Next I'll add the smallest one on the left side, and I'm putting all of them at different angles. Now the final middle-sized one will go in the lower right-hand corner. I was a bit messy with glue for that last postage die cut piece. I wiped off the excess with my finger. Before going any further, I needed to clean my finger before I accidentally touched the front of the card with a little glob of glue. I'll set that aside for now, start working on the sentiment. I cut out that shadow outline piece from white cardstock. And for the little envelope, I used some craft cardstock. There are 2 pieces, the background piece, and it has that little faux stitch detail for the flap. And then there's also the individual piece for the flap of the envelope. I use the same craft cardstock for both pieces. I'll add the envelope first. Then I'll add the word happy. Some of the sentiment, the letters are combined as one piece, but most of them are individual letters. To help get them evenly spaced, I'll start with the H, then add the Y for the word happy. Put the individual P and then the AP piece next to it. Now I'll add the word mail, and I'll lay both of those pieces down. Attach the AIL piece down first, then the capital M, and then the final piece, need to dot the I. And I still have the dot for the I in the negative portion of cardstock. Wanted to make sure not to lose it. Since it is very small, I'll first add that teeny tiny drop of Barely Art glue, and I'll pick up the die cut piece using the wax tip end of scrapbook.com's Craft Pro Pick tool. So there's the sentiment all assembled. I love how it includes the little envelope. I will be popping it up using foam dimension. I grabbed scrapbook.com's large foam squares in the 1 millimeter thickness. To fit behind the H, I am trimming some of the foam squares down. I'll remove the release paper, add the sentiment in the lower right hand corner, and I'm putting it at an angle, also overlapping 2 of the postage die cut pieces. I also cut out the airplane image. I used some light blue pearlescent cardstock from my stash, and I did pop it up using foam dimension. I'll put the airplane on the right side of the sentiment. Next, I'll add one of the ephemera pieces, a pair of sunglasses where you can see the beach and palm trees in the reflection. I'll put that above the sentiment on the left side. For embellishments, I'll be adding 5 blue hearts. The blue cardstock is the same cardstock I use for the background, and the heart dies are from the Easy Wonder die set number 1 add-on set. I'll put the 2 larger hearts in the upper right-hand corner, and the 3 smaller hearts will go around the envelope in the lower left-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and again, I did make 2 using this design. It's fun that you can cut apart the postage grid and have the individual postage stamp die cut pieces. Now moving on to card design number 3. I have all the different card pieces in the small craft stack tray from Spellbinders. I had a stack of those sitting on my desk when I started recording this video. Everything prepped and ready to go. For this card, I'm adding 3 of the cut apart postage stamp die cut pieces. Use the cloud pattern paper. And inside all 3 of those stamps, I'm adding the smaller rectangle featuring the shell pattern paper. For this set of cards, I'm also using some of the pattern paper that I didn't cut out using the Easy Wonder die number 3. I selected the brown sand glitter looking pattern paper for the background. This piece is 5 1/4 inches by 4 inches. I added a narrow strip of this cream watercolor looking design. It's 1/2 inch by 4 inches. And next to it, I'll add this fun stripe paper, and that piece is 2 inches by 4 inches. For a little bit of separation and shine, I'm putting a Love from Lizzie peel off on the outer edge of the 2 pattern paper strips. This is the brown color with gold overlay in pinstripe style, and I use the narrowest width. I cut the peel-offs just a little bit wider than 4 inches. I'll wrap the ends around the back, then layer this piece on some dark brown cardstock, and that cardstock layer is an additional 1/8 of an inch. I put ATG tape on the back, added my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Now I'll add the 3 shell postage stamp die cut pieces, putting the medium one on the left side on top of the other 2 pattern paper strips, and I'm putting it at a slight angle. I'll add the smallest one on the right side, and then the largest postage stamp die cut I will pop up using foam dimension. I'm using scrapbook.com's 1/4 inch foam in the 1 millimeter thickness. I'll add it in the lower right hand corner, and I am overlapping the other 2 postage stamp die cuts. For a sentiment, I've already stamped and cut this out, wishing you sunny days. The stamp and coordinating dies are from scrapbook.com's Summer Celebration set. I used brown ink, stamped the sentiment on some white sugar cardstock, so it has that lovely pearlescent finish. Using the outline die, I cut out another piece, this time from brown cardstock, glued the 2 together, offsetting them slightly so you can see just a peek of that brown cardstock underneath and on the left side of the sentiment. And I did pop up the sentiment with foam dimension. I just didn't put any on the very right side where it sits on the postage stamp die cut piece. For embellishments, I'm using more enamel dots from Concord and Ninth. They're nutmeg color. It's a lovely color that matches beautifully with the dark brown cardstock. I'll add 3 in the lower left-hand corner and 2 in the upper right-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. Now moving on to card design number 4. This is a very simple card design. For a sentiment, I'll be adding Let's Celebrate, and this is from the same scrapbook.com stamp set I use for card design number 3. I used brown ink, stamped it on some cream cardstock, And I'm adding the sentiment on the brown glitter sand looking banner die cut piece. For this card, I'll be using the full postage grid with the shell images, since I love this piece. To help it stand out against the background, I'll first adhere it on some brown cardstock, and that cardstock piece is 4 7/8 of an inch by 3 5/8 of an inch. And when adhering them together, I'll offset them slightly. Now I'll put ATG tape on the back, add this piece on some light blue cardstock that has a pearlescent finish. I believe this is by Basil. It's the blind date color. I don't think it's available any longer since I couldn't find a link for it. I love using colored cardstock, so I have a very large stash of it in my room, and I'm sure at least 80% of the colors have been retired. Next, I'll stamp the airplane with the 3 little wavy lines, putting it in the upper right-hand corner, using scrapbook.com's dark chocolate ink color. Now I'll put ATG tape on the back, add my card front onto a card base. Next, I'll add the sentiment in the lower right-hand corner, put barely art glue on the back, and the very end of this banner sentiment will go off the edge of the postage grid die cut piece. For a final finishing touch, adding some more enamel dots. This time I'm using Altenews Northern Shore color. I've had this set for at least a year, and I noticed some of the little sticky dots on the back of the enamel dots were coming off. But no worries, since I'll add some barely art glue. I'll put 2 in the upper left-hand corner and 3 around the sentiment. This set includes 3 different sizes of the circle enamel dots, and I'm using all 3 sizes on my card. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. Now moving on to my final card design, number 5. I'll grab the craft stack tray with all the prepped pieces for my card. For a sentiment, I've already stamped and cut out Hello Summer using the same scrapbook.com Summer Celebration set. This stamp set works really well with the Down the Shore pattern paper and ephemera. Using the outline die, I cut out a second piece from dark brown cardstock. I'll glue the 2 together, offsetting them slightly so you can see just a peek of that dark brown cardstock. I will be popping it up, so I'll put some foam squares on the back. Next, I'll grab 3 small rectangle pattern paper pieces, and I'm gluing them on a stitched rectangle die cut. And this die is included on the Easy Wonder set number 3 add-on set. I use vellum for the stitched rectangle die cut pieces. So I'll glue the smaller rectangle on the larger stitched rectangle. For my image and sentiment panel, I have some textured white cardstock, and that piece is 4 inches by 2 3/4 of an inch, and the brown cardstock layer is an additional 1/8 of an inch. For the background of my card, I have a piece of craft cardstock. It's 5 1/4 of an inch by 4 inches. I'm adding a little extra color around the outside edge using Distress Oxide Vintage Photo ink color. And I'm doing the inking on a cut down version of scrapbook.com's white project grip mat. Most of the center will be covered up, so I was really focused on just the outside edge. Now I'll layer this piece on some dark brown cardstock, and that cardstock is an additional 1/8 of an inch. I'll put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. On the left side of the card, I'm adding 2 of the stitched banner die cut pieces. I'll start with the shell piece on the very left, about 1/2 inch away from the left edge. Now I'll add the cloud stitched banner die cut piece. And I'm placing it a little over 1/8 of an inch away from the shell banner piece. Next, I'll add my image panel, put barely art glue on the back, adhere it on the card. And I'm not putting it in the center, instead it's closer on the right side of the card. At the top of the image panel, I'm adding the 3 rectangle pieces. I'll put the 2 glitter pieces on the right and left side and the watercolor cream piece in the very center. And I'll lay out all 3 pieces to get the spacing correct before I start gluing them down. When adding the barely art glue, I made sure to only put it behind the pattern paper piece, that way it doesn't show through on the vellum. Before the glue dries completely, I have a little bit of time to make sure those 3 rectangles are on nice and straight. I'll be adding 3 of the ephemera pieces, a bottle filled with sand and 2 shells, and I will be popping them up using foam dimension. I grabbed both the small foam squares and the foam roll in the 1mm thickness. It was a little easier to use the foam roll behind the bottle, but for the shells, I'll use the small foam squares. I'll remove the release paper from the foam, add the bottle on the right side. Now I'll add the foam squares behind the shells. And the 2 shells will overlap each other, and the larger shell, part of it will sit in front of the bottle. So in those areas, I'm not adding any foam. I'll remove the release paper from all the foam squares. Add the larger shell, then the smaller shell. Then finally the sentiment, Hello Summer, will go in the upper left-hand corner of the image sentiment panel. For a final finishing touch, I'll add 3 enamel dots in the lower right-hand corner using Altenews Northern Shore Mix. Selected this light blue color. I'm using the smallest size. I'll first add that small drop of glue, then adhere the enamel dots in place. And I have a little bit of time to adjust those before the glue dries completely. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. Now here's another look at the 10 cards I made using Not Too Shabby's brand new Easy Wonder die set number 3. Along with the add-on dies and coordinating special delivery stamp set. The Easy Wonder dies are always super popular, so if you are interested, I would suggest not waiting. They don't get restocked very often. I do have links for the Easy Wonder dies along with the other products I used in the description box below. And for more inspiration using the new Easy Wonder die set number 3, be sure to check out the YouTube playlist I have listed below. Lots of other designers have created fun videos using the dies. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.